Today I have launched my new and free consulting masterclass about how to get into management consulting even if you don't have the perfect CV. And in this video I want to give you a preview. Hi everyone, my name is Johannes and welcome to this channel. Welcome to Mastering Consulting. On this channel I want to help you to become more successful in management consulting while also living a balanced life by sharing my own learnings and experiences from my own current journey in management consulting. And if you're new to this channel, then please subscribe to it. Please also leave a thumb up. This will help you that you don't miss any new video here. And today we have a cool topic. Today I launched my new free online masterclass about how to get into management consulting. And in this video, I want to show you a preview of it. So if you're interested in the masterclass, you can join it for free by clicking on the link below. With that being said, I wish you much fun with the masterclass. Today, I will talk mainly about three topics, okay? So the first one is that I will talk about, how to find the right firm, okay? How to learn about the consulting industry, how to find the right firm that suits your personal needs. Because the thing is, if you want to join management consulting, it's crucial that you learn about the consulting industry because consulting is not consulting, and this is something we will talk about. And the first step is to learn about the industry, to find the right firm or at least the right sector for you, and then set a very, very clear goal on what you want to achieve. The second thing we will talk about is the right preparation. So we talk about the different preparation stages that you have if you want to get into management consulting. And the third thing topic we want to talk about is the right strategy, because you see, every one of us is in a different situation, and depending where you are, depending also on your personal strengths and weaknesses, you should follow different strategies to get into management consulting. And this is also something that we will talk about in this masterclass. So let's talk directly about the first strategy. Let's talk about how finding the right firm is the first step of getting into management consulting. And what I want to share with you is a framework that I developed and that I actually learned from this McKinsey partner or McKinsey consultant back then. And this is the 4 questions to find the right firm and set your clear goals framework. And basically, to give you an idea how it was for me back then when I started in consulting, or when I decided that I wanted to start in consulting. So I told you that I met this guy at the media firm that I worked for as an intern. I went back home and I said, okay, let's see if it works. Let's do some research. I went back, said, okay, I can't do it. And then he said, okay, you have to develop the right strategy. And also what he said to me is, Johannes, before you even start thinking about a career in consulting, you have to decide what kind of firm you want to join. Because he said, you see, consulting as an industry is so broad and consulting is not consulting, okay? And he recommended me 4 steps to do. He said, okay, before you even think about consulting, you should learn about the industry. So learn about what consulting is actually all about. Also learn about, the main consulting firms that are out there, the main consulting sectors that are out there, that you really can understand, okay, where do you want to be in the future? He said, as a second step, Johannes, you should think about what is important to you. Because you see, for many different people, there are many different focus areas, okay? Some, are very looking for prestige and, internationality. For some, work-life balance is more important. Other, on the other hand, want to develop a certain expertise in a field. So everyone, has different needs and different preferences. And it's really important that before you start a consulting career, you think about and really honestly reflect about what is important to you. He said, okay, 3, you should evaluate all of those firms along your personal criteria. Okay, so after you are very clear about what you want to, what is important for you, if we talk a career, then it's time to evaluate different firms or different consulting sectors along those criteria. Okay, so this is very important. And he said, okay, after that, as a step 4, you have to set clear goals, because every journey, starts with a very, very clear goal in mind. And that's exactly what I did. Okay, so I tried to learn about the industry. So what I basically did was that I read a lot of books about consulting. You know, back then there wasn't much online out there, so the online resources that I had were very limited. So I had to read a lot of books. So also, you know, of course, I used the available resources that were out there, but those were mainly, you know, a few consulting blogs or something like that, or, you know, websites from, you know, the large consultancies. Also, I, you know, participated in a lot of career fairs. I also joined consulting clubs, and, you know, I tried to build a network and talk to people who really have experience in consulting. So you see, the first step was all about learning about the consulting industry to get a good understanding, you know, what I was getting myself into. And the second step was that I thought about, okay, what was really or what is important to me. You see, one thing that I don't understand is that many people, especially after a couple of years, you know, that they say, okay, you know, the work-life balance in management consulting is really, really bad. But the thing is, you know, that there are also consultancies where work-life balance is a very high priority, but, you know, maybe not in the strategy sector, because this is a work-intense job. And I really don't understand why people don't take the time and take a step back and really reflect, okay, what is important to me? How should my professional life look like? And this is definitely something that I did back then, based on a recommendation of my mentor, as I now call him. And the first thing was, as I said at the beginning, that I was very excited about, you know, learning about business strategies, because I was confused, you know, how can a music industry, a huge industry back then, how can, you know, they suddenly be disrupted? How can revenues drop by 50% in only like 10 years? I mean, this sounded incredible to me. So really, you know, this was the initial motivation for me to learn about strategy, learn about business. So I said, okay, I want to deal with strategy problems. Okay, so I really want to learn how strategy works, how business works. The second thing that was important to me was actually, and I have to be honest, it was also a high salary. Okay, but imagine, you know, before you judge me, I was in a bad financial situation back then. Okay, I was in financial debt and I was looking for a way out there. So I said, okay, you know, I also want to join a consultancy that has very high salaries. This was also important, I admit it. And besides that, I also said, okay, you know, work-life balance is not that important to me, because I always was someone, you know, who said, okay, the job or the business activities that I'm involved in are more or less, you know, a huge part of my life. Okay, so back then it was music, so I was all about music. You know, I practiced my instrument like hours per day. Okay, and so I never had a problem with working long hours, and this was also something that I wrote down back then. Then I took the third step that my mentor recommended to me and said, okay, which firms do fulfill those criteria? And I took a look at the market, and now I like to, you know, cluster the market into 4 sectors. So the first one is the strategy sector, so like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, or all the other consulting firms, strategy consulting firms like Stern Stewart as well. Then the second sector is like the big 4, so Ernst & Young, KPMG, EY and Deloitte. Then we also have the tech sector. This is like Accenture, Capgemini, companies like that. And then the fourth bucket is like the specialized firm like Simon Kucher, you know, Horvath & Partners here in Germany. So companies who are really focused and specialized in a certain niche. And I took a look at the market and I said, okay, you know, based on my criteria. So first it was, as I just explained, you know, learning about strategy and business. Second, you know, having high salary. And third, you know, I was willing to work long hours. I said, okay, for me, probably, you know, if I take a look at the landscape, probably the strategy sector is the right sector for me. Okay. And this led me to the fourth step. Okay. Setting clear goals. And this is exactly what I did. I said, okay, I'm just at the beginning, but I know if I want to join consulting, it should be the strategy sector, okay? And I set a very, very clear goal, and I was very clear about what I wanted to achieve, okay? And this, at the beginning, this was like the first step that I did right when I decided, okay, I want to join in consulting. And this gave me a very, very, very good guideline through everything that I did. And this really helped me. This was kind of the foundation of aligning my strategy on how to get into management consulting, okay? So this was really, really the first step. So what I want to do is I want to share the framework that I used back then. Of course, back then I didn't know that this was the framework, but with some time and some reflection, I realized that it basically, you know, are 4 core questions that we are talking about and that we should answer at the very beginning, okay? So the first question that you should answer very clearly for you is the question, you know, what is consulting? What do I mean by that? So you really should understand what consulting is all about. You should learn about the industry. You should learn about the different firms, the different sectors, you know, how life is as a management consultant. Because one important thing to understand is, and I get the questions, you know, on Instagram or YouTube all the time, you know, consulting is not consulting. So if you ask me, okay, how do I get in consulting? My first question is always, okay, what kind of firm do you want to join? And if you don't know about the industry, if you don't know the difference between McKinsey and Ernst & Young, for example, or McKinsey and Accenture, or Accenture and Harvard & Partners, for example, then, you know, we cannot communicate about the right strategy to get into consulting. So the first step is really to understand the industry, to learn the different sectors, the different firms. This is the important first question that you have to ask yourself. The second question is that you honestly reflect on what is important to you, okay? So think about the criteria. And, you know, I think, you know, there is no right and wrong. It's just important that you're honest to yourself. So maybe it's the prestige. So many people join consulting because they want to have the brand McKinsey on their CV. And that's totally fine, you know, no judging here. That's totally fine. Some say, you know, I am a very purpose-driven person. So for me, it's important that my firm is very sustainable and has a social impact, okay? Then maybe you should look for another firm that is more focused on ESG initiatives, for example. Or you say, I don't know, internationality is a big topic, or salary is a big topic, or career development is a big topic, or maybe it's a certain expertise that you develop. It doesn't matter as long as you are honest to yourself. The third question that you should ask yourself after you did your self-assessment is that you answer the question, okay, what firm fits my personal preferences, okay? And as I said, for me, it was like strategy questions. I said, okay, I want to have a good salary and I don't care about long working hours. So for me, it was the strategy sector. But believe me, and I think this is very important, you know, that for every profile, okay, for every preference profile, there is a firm out there. I mentioned recently that I didn't join McKinsey or BCG or Bain, but I went for Stern Stewart. So why is that? It's a smaller company. It has or does the same projects like McKinsey, BCG and Bain. But the big difference is it's a small company, it's a very entrepreneurial spirit, also it's a strong family spirit, and the career and financial upside, since it's a smaller company, is much higher for me, okay? And since I'm a very entrepreneurial person and very driven, you know, and also I want to kind of be incentivized, you know, in the right way. So that's why I went against, you know, MBB firms, although I had the offers, and I went for a boutique firm called Stern Stewart, you know. But again, because I realized and I was very clear about what was important to me and what kind of firm would fit that profile, okay? And at the end, you know, this is the fourth step. You should set very clear goals, okay? So write it down, make a commitment to your goal. And again, I want to encourage you. So no matter where you are today, it is possible to join the firm that you want to join, because you're probably saying, okay, maybe I don't fulfill the requirements, you know, to join a BCG, for example. But the thing is, it's just a matter of time. You know, there are many strategies, many ways, you know, to get into a top strategy consulting, even if you don't have the requirements at the moment, through other ways. But this is the topic of, you know, developing the right strategy. The important thing is that you are honest to yourself and set a goal that inspires you and that you really want to achieve. And this is the fourth and last question of this framework. Okay, so just to summarize, the first step and the first starting point for you, if you want to get into management consulting, is to answer those four questions. Okay, so what is consulting? Understand the industry. Second, what is important to you? What kind of criteria need to be fulfilled for you? Third, what kind of firms or sectors fulfill those criteria? And fourth, what is your concrete goal? Okay, so this is very important.